My name's Matt Bailey. I'm the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, and I'm not having my mic plugged in yet. Hold on. Some things should be organised a bit more ahead of time. Here we go. No, let's straighten that up. Okay, that's going to have to do. Okay, let's try that again. Hello, welcome. Ooh. Hello, welcome. Good to see you. I can't see you, you can see me, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you always for being a part of the live streams every night. I'm doing one every weeknight, as you may know already. Tonight is Thursday night, so it's nearly the end of the week for us, but not sure if we can do a live stream tomorrow night. We might do one during tomorrow day, though. Both Andrew and I have events on tomorrow night, so we're both a bit tied up, but that's why we can get a decent one in tonight. Okay, sorry for the technical glitches at the beginning just now. Like I said, some things don't always go to plan, especially doing a live broadcast. Okay, so every day doing a live stream. We're at the end of January now, so this is the probably around the 180th live stream I've done now. 180th video. That's pretty cool. Anyway, Stone Pine, Mr. Kareem, Nip of Courage crew. Look at all those people joining. Good to see you, Kathleen. Hope it's Kathleen. It wasn't last time I did that, so I'm going to make that call out this time. A week ago, I showcased 16.39, which is an 18-year-old single cask that is Malt of the Month for February, which is launching next Friday. The 7th, always fantastic to have a deep, rich and dried fruits Malt of the Month. The other whiskey that I showcased a few days ago, which is going to be in February outturn, is 91.24, which is Rolling in Fruit Blossom. I previewed that whiskey and finished it off on the stream because there was only a drop left in that bottle. Jared Davies joined as well. Good to see you, Jared. Jared and Kathleen both watching simultaneously. I'd love to get a photo of that. I'll put that in our newsletter, Ambassador's Wrap. Okay, 9.167, part of the furniture. I'm going to hold that one up there. It's a 23-year-old whiskey from Distillery 9 in the Speyside region of Scotland. The Society's been going as a independent bottler and whiskey club since 1983, and we are today the world's biggest independent bottler and also the most awarded, which is very cool. We just won the Independent Bottler of the Year again at the end of last year. 3rd year in a row. Massive for us, especially as the Society grows in membership, grows in casks, grows in distillery access. It's a really exciting time for us at the moment at the Society because there's a lot going on. And we're really excited to be able to share that with all you, with all of our members and everyone who even has a passing interest in whiskey, and educating members and educating those into the category on great whiskey and doing great events. You know, our events, I think, are the cream of the crop. Speaking of events, Archie Rose Gelato Night Gelato Afternoon at Archie Rose, I should say, has sold out. So our Archie Rose Messina collaboration has sold out. That is Saturday week, the 8th. Our Melbourne event has also sold out. But like I said, put the 28th of March in your diary. Even if you're not from Victoria, you may want to be in Melbourne that Saturday afternoon. So here we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about 9.167, but also something a little bit of a... I was going to save this rant till Monday, but I'll touch on it tonight, maybe expand on it a bit on Monday as well. We're doing a lot of whiskey shows and fairs this year as well, actually, worth noting. Some great fairs and shows coming up that we're involved with, and some great events with some of the businesses and partnerships that we work with each year, which is really exciting. I've had you know what, it's a short week for us because we all started back at work on Tuesday after a long weekend, but I've got to say, it takes it out of you this week. This week has been really big, and we've had, like I said, heaps going on at the moment. Sally joined, good to see you, Sally. Alham's joined, good to see you. Okay, so I'm using our SCS glass for this whiskey. Couldn't find a clean Society glass at the moment, and like I said, I wasn't overly hugely organised tonight. Okay, on the nose immediately, I'm nosing this at cask strength. It is 55 on the dot, 55% on the dot. It's a refill bourbon hogshead, 23 years old, distilled 25th of April 1995, and it's a 23-year-old whiskey in the old and dignified category from Distillery 9. Distillery 9 is, I don't know if I should say it, but I'll say it anyway. It is from Glen Grant. Now, Glen Grant is one of those distilleries that has an endearing quality in that it's quite... Sorry, loud cockatoo outside. Has quite an endearing quality in that it's one of those distilleries I find personally works really well at a young age, works really well at an old age. It's a distillery that encompasses both sides of the spectrum, and I find that at 23 years of age, it really starts, when it starts getting past sort of 18, 19, 20 years of age, it starts getting very syrupy. Gengoidal asks, have you got any of that 0% whiskey? No 0% whiskeys. We don't make any alcohol-free whiskeys at the society. Although I've seen a few companies trying to start making some zero-proof spirits. Quite a few doing some zero-proof gins and zero-proof vodkas now. I haven't really seen any zero-proof whiskeys commercially available, at least. I saw one that was in development about a year ago. I don't know what happened to that. Seedlip make probably one of the best well-known ones. That's a Distill Ventures / Diageo baby, that one these days. And you know what? Seedlip's lovely. If you're looking for a booze-free gin, Seedlip is the one to go. Okay, Sally, thanks for joining in. We haven't seen you much here, Sally. I know it's been a good few weeks though of streaming already this month. But this might be the last one for the month because, like I said, tomorrow night both Andrew and I are tied up in other things, and we're not streaming over the weekend at the moment. So I'm nosing 9.167, part of the furniture. I'll hold that one up again for you. It's in the February outturn, along with another 9, which is called Cedar Bigger Picture, which is a 15-year-old. But just be able to get a taste of that and see what that's all about. A 23-year-old single cask. Yeah. It starts to make sense after the first sip. You know, on the nose, initially, it's actually you go, wow, it's got a lot of life in the nose. I mean, it is cask strength. But after that, after a little bit, it's sort of got that dusty old bookshelves thing going on. Furniture polish. Old leather. It's almost Klein Leashy. It's got a fair bit of like herbal waxiness to it. Ah, that's delightful. I don't normally add water to old whiskies, as I said before. I find it can drown them a bit. Team Rubbish Darts joined. What a name. Hillwood Whiskey joined. Good to see you. Lockie joined. Good to see you. So, if you've just joined, I'm actually previewing that next whiskey from another whiskey from Outturn that's upcoming. 9.167, part of the furniture. It's being launched on Friday week, Friday the 7th of February. And I also said that both Melbourne events and Sydney events that flank either side of the 7th, the 6th and the 8th, have completely sold out. I've added a few drops of water to it now. I don't think it's improved the nose. Maybe it has a little bit actually. I'm getting much more of the waxiness now, much of that sort of cedar, furniture polish, old grilled herbs. Lovely. It's like a herbal sausage and the kind of it's quite oily on the palate. It's quite viscous. Tim, Whiskey Steens, good to see you. It's got a lovely oiliness to the palate. I don't think water improved that one. I always like to try it with and without water. I think the palate was far better without the water. But live and learn. I mean, I've not tried this one properly with or without water, to be honest. This is my first time trying it. It was used in an event, but it was a very big event, and it was lots going around that night. That was actually our burn supper night here in Sydney a couple of weeks ago. A week ago? I don't know. It felt like a couple of weeks ago. I think it was only last week. It was last week. It was just before Australia Day. It was last Wednesday, 8 days ago. Well, I mean, it's still very lovely with a few drops of water. Anyway, whilst I'm enjoying that, I've been commenting along in this thread today and online on a Facebook group, and the questions were about, what makes a craft whiskey, and some were arguing, it must be the size of the stills, it must be the how much distillery output they make, how many liters of spirit they make per year, or some of it might be things like Is it all local ingredients, local barley, local water source, local casks even, which is absurd. Or is it a distillery that only it's like to be called a craft whiskey, do you have to make your own wash? Or is it, if you don't make your own wash, is it now no longer a craft whiskey? Look, it came down to this discussion about what does craft mean in the context of whiskey. My argument, I'm on the side of saying that it doesn't mean anything. It's a meaningless word these days. And I know this is kind of, it's almost stinging words for some, and I'm very sorry if this offends you, but it's a meaningless word. Craft is a marketing word that has been very cleverly played. In fact, I'd say, no, not even. It's not even been cleverly played at all, because it hasn't carried any meaning or even any old legislation. Let's put it this way. If the word craft whiskey existed in the 1960s, which it didn't, but then, like, let's say that legislation was scrapped on that word in the 1980s, if people were sort of making whiskey as per the 1960s style now and calling it craft, that might have a bit of cachet or something like that. If it previously meant something and now didn't and now does again. In this case, it never really meant anything to begin with. Like, let's say if I start a whiskey distillery that is all local ingredients and all local casks, which is near impossible, and all local water, local barley, local stills made locally, local copper, all those kind of factors, if it was all made in one site, but I'm deciding to produce 1 million litres a year of that spirit, is that still a craft whiskey distillery? But what if it's 10,000 litres a year? Or does it have to be 1,000 litres a year? I mean, you know what I mean? It's sort of like it doesn't really mean anything anymore. What is a craft brewery makes the wash? Exactly. Yeah. What if someone else makes the wash, but it's a craft brewery that makes it? Most Australian distilleries, this will come as a shock to some, most Australian distilleries don't make their own wash. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? What does it mean? Pardon me? It means basically, in a nutshell, most of them don't have too much control over a huge proportion of the flavour that goes into the spirit. Now, I'm saying I'm framing that in a negative light, you can probably tell. But if they're ordering to specification, the wash, rather than doing it themselves, then sure. I mean, maybe it's exactly what they would have been doing on site anyway. Every distillery in Scotland makes their own wash, but they don't all malt their own barley. There's very few that malt their own barley, for those who were watching last night. It's everyone. I don't think there's a single distillery in Scotland that doesn't make their own wash, their own beer wash, as in like the basis for the spirit. From that, so it's kind of like, some will order the barley already malted, of course, because it's, they're not doing floor maltings, they're not doing even commercial maltings on site, but others will do it as they see fit, and will create a style or a specification that they have deemed that they've ordered from the maltster. So okay, so here we go. Let me grab some of these questions. What about craft equals passion? Okay, Sally, that's a good question. Craft equals passion. Maybe, okay, let's say I'm a really passionate distiller and I'm the head distiller of the biggest Diageo distillery in Scotland, which used to be Duffton Distillery and is now Rose Isle. So Rose Isle, I think, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head. I'm going to go with 8 or 9 million litres of spirit a year, of malt whiskey spirit. So that's quite a big number. It could even be more than that. Off the top of my head, it could even be, 12 or 15 million litres. Am I still a craft producer because I have passion in what I'm making? I love that spirit quality. I love the consistency that comes off those stills. I wouldn't argue that I am. I don't know. Again, I don't know what that word means. I think it's a silly word. Torpedo craft in one breakdown. I don't know what that means, gang. Hillwood Whiskey asks, true, however, there are handcrafted components. Yeah, handcrafted components. Sure, okay. Let's say you've got a local cooperage working on those casks. You're not going through a big, massive cooperage. Or let's say you're going through a small maltster to get your barley, or your water supply is limited, and you only can make so much whiskey per year because the local rain only provides so much. Does that? Again, it doesn't. I don't know if that provides context for whether that's a valid use of the word craft or not. Whiskey Holic, good to see you. Georgia Hellas joined, good to see you. I.e. casks, yeah. Like that's what I'm saying, Hillwood. It's whether those casks, whether that's relevant to it being casks or whether it's relevant to being local supply is, again, I don't know what that means, and that's why I think it's a useless word. And I know this is a bit of a Monday rant kind of topic that I'd normally do, but this is Thursday, so whatever. I thought I'd just talk about that because it's the discussion I've been having today a little bit online, and people saying, oh, it should come down to size of stills, or it should come down to size of volumetric output of that distillery. I don't agree with any of that. I think the word should be put to bed unless it has some official certification like the word organic does. You know, organic fruit and vegetable, or organic this, it has to be USDA certified or AUDO certified organic. I think most of the food bodies these days are cracked down on the usage of that word when it's clearly not organic and still uses pesticides in the creation of those fruit or veg. So the same thing should apply for the word craft in this case as well, if we're going down that route. If we're not, then just treat it with the same reverence and as any other meaningless buzzwords that you see in any other PR press release about a whiskey. You know, I could do a whole episode on whiskey press releases and some of the silly buzzwords you see out of them. It's unbelievable. But on that point, on the word craft, we never ever put the word craft on a bottle of Society whiskey. We don't know if it's craft or not, and we don't know what that word means. And I don't think anyone else does. It says it's single cask, it's cask strength, it's non-chill filtered, it's natural colour. It's one of 218 bottles in this case. It's 23 years old. It has an age statement printed on the bottle, a little tasting note, a region, a date distilled, I think I said that, the cask type, the proof, everything, and a bit of the history about the vaults on the back of there. You know what? That's all you need. You don't need... It's got every little bit of detail on the label. I love nerdy labels, though. I love being able to read everything that's going on that one square. I don't need to, decipher some code or look something up online or... I mean, yeah, it's fun doing those kind of things, but at the same time, it's like I want to be able to go pick that up off the shelf and go, this is this. Simple. That's why nerdy labels, there are quite a few bottles out there with nerdy labels, which I always love. Yeah, agree, too many. Craft is an informative term. Reminds me of the words traditional and smooth. Yeah, you know what? The new traditional whiskey. Why is it traditional? Oh, we make it the old style way. Oh, what's the old style way? Oh, like they used to make it. No, you don't. It's all just silly. It's silly buzzwords. And smooth, yeah, smooth is a silly tasting note. Doesn't tell me anything. Single malt vault joins, good to see you. Has the new label gotten to Australia yet? Not quite, but we've got a couple of shipments coming in. One's just landing this week, and one's landing in about 2 months' time. So doesn't matter. The quality inside the bottle hasn't changed. In fact, it keeps going up. The panel keep pushing their scoring up. So while the label will get a slight refresh coming through soon, the quality of what we're bottling and winning the Independent Bottler of the Year each award, Independent Bottler of the Year every year so far in the last 3 years, and the last 7 out of 10. Is I think that's, don't worry about what's happening in the label. We'll communicate all the changes, and I think they look marvelous, the new labels, if I'm being honest. They provide another level of transparency, especially for casks that have had an extra maturation or a finish, where it says first cask and final cask, which is really exciting. Last little announcement before I wrap it up for today. Do you guys, hold on, let me grab some of the questions before I go through it. Is the Outturn magazine online yet? Benoit, that's tomorrow. Friday, the full Outturn goes online tomorrow. Reminds me of a certain Oz distillery, Provenance. Jim, Monster of Malt, Jim, I think that's you, Jim. Yes, and no comment. Do you guys do the S&Do's tasting notes in Australia, or are they done in the UK? Whisky Steins, all the tasting notes you see in an Outturn are generally from our UK expert tasting panel, headed by Charlie McLean. However, if it's a full cask for Australia, then we'll provide AU notes. And we've got a few full casks coming, a few entirety casks coming, which is where Andrew and the panel locally, Andrew, myself, and a few others will go through and do our own local tasting notes, because we find that quite important and members love it. Random question. No, that's good. I like those questions. People still call small batch beer craft beer. Yeah, Kathleen, it invades the beer scene just as bad as it does spirits, really, doesn't it? It's like, what does craft mean in beer? It's like, oh, I only produce 6 slabs a year. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, it's not really, that doesn't make, but therefore, does a distillery that is, a brewery that does 1,000 cases a year not be craft? Again, meaningless word. Whisky Zach joined. We're just sort of wrapping up Whisky Zach, and you had some great questions. I think yesterday or the day before, Whisky Zach. They were great. Thank you so much. Always love the questions coming through on the live. As I've said before, even if you missed the live, you can still ask questions through our DMs, and we'll probably answer them in the following day's video. or whenever the next video is. We try to do these every single day. As I said, it's a full session every day. And you can catch us up in the stories on Instagram, or you can catch us on YouTube, Scotch Malt Whisky Society Australia. Just search it on YouTube. I'd love it if you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the little bell if you want to catch when each video goes up. That way you can just listen to it in the background on your computer, or rather than having it on your phone, however you like to watch it, or listen to it in that case. Final little announcement, because I made the same announcement last night. Everyone who joins the society in between now and the end of February, so you've got about a month. February is a short month, next month, leap year and all that, goes in the draw automatically to win this hand fill from the vaults. It's a second fill PX quarter cask from Distillery 66. It's peated, it's sherried, it's an absolute flavour bomb. I've tried it, it's just fantastic. Please excuse the international travel sticky tape going up on the top here, but I'll try and keep it nice and tidy for when I send it to the winner. And someone will win this. It's a half-size bottle. It's fairly priceless. It's one of 2 in Australia, and I'm going to send that to someone, and that's a freebie. That's on me. So all you got to do is join the society between now and the end of February. You've got about a month. If you're already a member, just get someone to put your name in the referral box. Refer a member, and you'll go into the draw to win as well. Fantastic. Everyone wins. So I'm going to give that away. You've got about a month to join. Have a look at the joining options online, of course, and I'd love to see you all at an event soon. Like I say, keep an eye on the website for our events page. We've got some awesome events coming up, and I'm gonna take my time on this 23-year-old whiskey from upcoming outturn, and I'll see you all. Maybe not tomorrow night, as I said. Both Andrew and I have got things on, but we'll see you in the next live, and we'll announce it on our Instagram stories shortly. Thanks again. Cheers. Bye.